we spoke about it this morning. I looked at the races last night, and I said, well, this is a really difficult sequence. I really didn't feel comfortable with it. I could have never foreseen some of the prices and some of the horses that have outperformed today.
We're going to have, again, the nightcap coming up shortly. We'll get to that field. Actually, let's give the odds board right now. 6 furlongs on the outer turf to close out this double carryover card. That's going to be a triple carryover heading into Saturday on Cigar Mile Day. How about that? New York bred entry-level allowance to close out, and a ton of attention right now to She's the One. Odds-on favorite for Christophe Clement. Third off the layoff. Came from a little further out of it than she had last time to just miss in her first try against Winners, but it was a very good effort.
Very good effort. Christophe Clement continuing an incredible role, over 100 wins again this year, and she's very, very logical, but we've seen some very illogical results so far today.
It's been one of those days. Yeah, just very little has gone to form. And we'll get to a post parade coming up. There's the aforementioned She's the One. So that's the odds-on favorite, the great daughter of Macho Uno. Irad Ortiz Jr. will be aboard. She just missed in her debut, came back to win in October at Belmont. And then, even though she was further back, she was making up a lot of ground late in that first try against Winners. Does she have to be closer today to win? Because there's not a ton of speed in this race.
Well, I think just naturally because of the pace dynamic, and I'm with you, I don't feel like there's a tremendous amount of speed signed on, that I think she will be closer. She has a filly in the 5-horse Comset who has speed, but that's long speed. It's not really sprint speed. So I'm not seeing what I would call confirmed sprint speed in here.
Yeah, that one still has been close in some sprints, and that horse could be tough too, cutting back if she is indeed the one on the front. There she is. That's the 5 Comset, who just won last time out gate to wire. That was at a mile distance. So yeah, this cutting back to 6 furlongs today. Yeah,
and that did give trainer Gary Siaka his 1,000th career victory, that victory from Comset last time. I thought if there was going to be other speed in here, it might come from the 10, Uncle's Gem. You get Kendra Carmouche, a horse that's been attending, faster paces recently.
Yeah, there's Uncle Gem. Kind of a hard filly to figure out as we look at her at 11:01. She has had a couple of performances, figures-wise, that are better than anybody in this field. By a big margin. And then sometimes, like last start, she just didn't show up. And Eric Cancel was on her last start and seemed to sort of mid-stretch just kind of stopped riding her. And she didn't have much in the tank.
Sometimes a rider feels like a horse just isn't underneath them. They're not carrying them, and they kind of put up the white flag. They surrender a little bit. So maybe she wouldn't have been beaten quite as far if he had persevered.
11-1. Uncle's Gem, can she get back to one of her better efforts? That puts her right in the mix. She can figure out a trip here from an outside post. Master of the Tunes, that one at 14-1 actually beat the odds-on favorite when they met back in May. New audience joining us. We'll have a slight pause right here before the nightcap. Welcome to those just joining us on FS2. It's opening day in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn Park. And the opening day featured 2-year-olds sprinting on the dirt. Kai Rama, Steve Asmussen will send this one out with Ricardo Santana Jr. Cuts back in distance after disappointing in the Nashua in the stretch out. At a higher standard for trainer Tom Amos. Impressive in the debut in the mud at Churchill. And now comes the first test against Winners. It's the opening day feature ahead from Oaklawn here on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Welcome to those just joining us on FS2. We're watching the FIFA Arab Cup between Syria and Tunisia. We have the nightcap still to come here in New York on a day that has produced mass chaos. Double pick 6 carryover today. We're going to have now a triple carryover into the weekend on Grade 1 Cigar Mile Saturday. Greg Wolf alongside the winningest jockey in the history of this racetrack, Richard Migliori.
Well, I think it's great to have that carryover into such a huge day. Our last Grade 1 of the year, a tremendously competitive Cigar Mile. And I love the Demoiselle and the Remsen, kind of a window into tomorrow's stars, the future stars.
Yeah, points on the line for both the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby in those 2-year-old races tomorrow. So Triple Crown Trail picks up tomorrow. You don't want to miss our program on Saturday. Still got one to come on this Friday afternoon here at South Ozone Park. 6 furlongs, outer turf, New York bred, first allowance condition, and She's the One is the one on the board. It's the big favorite that everyone's attracted to here for Christophe Clement. Second time in against Winners. There she is, daughter of Macho Uno. For more, let's head downstairs and check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And not that I want to wax poetic about a heavy favorite, but she's the one, isn't one that I've necessarily been enamored with throughout her brief career. But sometimes it's not necessarily about the horse as an individual. It's about who they're facing and how they match up against them. And today, she just looks better than the rest of the field. And furthermore, I like the fact that she's just a little more awake, a little more sharp than what I've seen from her in past outings. I think she fits very nicely and should be able to handle her foes in this spot. Though I will say the other one making a very good impression here is number 10, Uncle's Gem. As you guys previously were discussing this horse, but now that we're on FS2, you were mentioning that, just not really persevered with in the stretch last time out. Though Kendrick Carmouche is a guy who doesn't give up quite easily on a horse, and I think these two make a good pairing. She looks fantastic in the flesh, so strong behind the saddle, just your typical turf sprinting filly, Greg.
Riders up. Thank you, Maggie. A leg up right there to Dylan Davis. He'll be on the 8th there, Snicket, as we get set for our post parade coming up. And we start with Candy Monet, David Donk from the inside post.
More of a deep closer, although she did show speed 2 back last time, won on dirt. This is going to be a little bit tougher for her.
Highway Queen matched up against the big favorite again. They met back on November the 6th, and she was 3rd behind. She's the one who was 2nd in that race.
Yeah, wasn't not far behind her that day, but I think she had an easier trip.
Indeed. She got to save a lot of ground in there, and that's why most prefer this one here.
Yeah, she makes a lot of sense. Top-notch connections, and she should be well-placed early and behind the pace.
This one, again, we mentioned beat the favorite when they met back on May 15th of this year.
Yeah, but that also was going further. I think they found out that she's the one who's better sprinting.
Comset could be tough if indeed she's in front leading the way on the turnback.
Well, if she's in front, she has a lot of foundation getting those mile and a 16th and mile race last time.
Write this down. Trained by Jeffrey Engelhardt, 31-1.
A horse that's been a little bit slow early has a tendency not to break very sharp, and a race that doesn't appear like a lot of speed could put her at a disadvantage.
This one intrigued me here. Mashney Girl, 7 furlongs, last out, 2nd off the layoff, and now gets to shorten up.
Gets to shorten up, and we saw Mark Hennig score with a big long shot earlier today.
There's the 8, Snicket, still in the paddock right now with Dylan Davis.
Another one from the Christophe Comant barn, probably the lesser thought of half of the uncoupled entry.
Big price next door in this one here, Ancient Brown, who's 29-1.
Yeah, and a horse that has tried turf before in the past without much success.
And definitely an intriguing player outside. I'm surprised to see this big of a price at 11-1. Uncle's Gem has shown a lot of talent and a couple of races, bigger figures than anyone's produced in here.
If there's going to be an upset, I think it's the 10, Uncle's Gem. Kind of go along with the theme of the day, horses winning at big prices. This is a horse that could show speed and get an aggressive warm-up from an aggressive rider.
Today's race is presented by Claiborne Farm. So the nightcap from New York coming up on the firm outer turf. And then we'll get you back to Oaklawn. Feature the Advent Stakes on their opening day card. Fast track, gorgeous weather out in Hot Springs for the first day of the meet. Of course, you can play all the action tomorrow's triple pick 6 carryover on Cigar Mile Day by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. Take advantage of that offer, that $200 sign-up bonus by punching in that promo code for new members. Bonus 200 at NairaBets.com or by downloading the Naira Bets app. Let's check in with Jonathan Kitchen. JK, your thoughts here in the 10th from New York.
Triple carryover. I had to bring my carryover dog. It's Rigatoni. It's his TV debut. And we're going to be up all night, basically because he has to go to the restroom a lot. But outside of that, we're going to be up handicapping this triple carryover. Unbelievable sequence. Looking forward to this. Bring me good luck, mister. As far as this race, if you're trying to get out and you had a bad day like I did and everyone else who played the pick 6, the 2 Highway Queen is a horse that I'm interested in. Yes, I like the 3. She's the one. She ran extremely well last time. She's got big speed figures. And she fits in this spot. But the way that Highway Queen ran in the inside last time, I think goes a long way for me. And Richie can elaborate on it a little bit, but I've always found young horses, or even any horse for that matter, to show that kind of courage down on the inside, it says something. Typically they're trained in the morning to pass horses on the outside, not necessarily on the inside. And I think that Highway Queen ran better than it looks last time. Although she was 3rd, and she's the one, the 3, was 2nd. I felt like the Highway Queen actually ran pretty darn good, and it's 7 times the price. Give me the 2 Highway Queen, but I'll tell you what I really need you to give me is the pick 6 tomorrow, please, and thank you.
Best of luck with that, JK. How can you have a bad day when you have Rigatoni? Maggie, more on the filly. JK was just talking about Highway Queen and the rematch here with the big favorite.
Yeah, that's true. And I liked everything that JK said about her. But you watch that replay, if you will, and you notice that she swishes her tail a lot when she's asked with the riding crop. So Luis Saez will be filling in today for Joel Rosario. And I did think that Joel Rosario could have been the best fit for her because he's a guy that doesn't necessarily go to that tool that often. But I think that's also just her, because when they were saddling her, she was swishing her tail a bunch, and she's just kind of that little sassy type of filly. So we'll see how Louis handles her and where she is going to be placed in here, because you would hope that she is just maybe a bit more forward than what we've seen in her last few. As we'll move on to Candy Monet. I don't know she's good enough. She's slow on figures. She's a big price in here, but she's a filly that I've always been very intrigued by. And she's one that I don't love this post for her, because it feels as though she doesn't necessarily like being around other horses. She gets kind of, I don't want to say easily intimidated, but just uncomfortable being crowded. So it's up to Jorge Vargas to either go or take back and keep her away from others here. But I do like her possibly getting back to the turf here, and maybe she's a horse that's just really putting things together and could move forward as far as speed figures are concerned in the right direction. And look, she's nearly 30-1, Greg.
Been that kind of day, though. Would not be surprising with what has transpired this afternoon. 21-1 start to this pick 6 carryover, 51-1 shot in the next leg to start the pick 5. And then there was a horse who there was an even money favorite, a Gold Panda for Charlie Baker. We had about a 14-1 shot win that race.
Yeah, I mean, just some really improbable kind of results, but it's horse racing. It's how, things play out sometimes. And like I said, I, for one, am excited the fact that it carries over into Cigar Mile Day, our last huge day of racing, our last Grade 1. Already a lot of excitement around it. This just lends a whole nother layer of excitement to it.
Nightcap here coming up on this Friday afternoon from Aqueduct. An odds-on favorite, the 3, She's the One, to her inside, the 2, Highway Queen, who ran right behind her last time out with that inside trip. Can she turn the tables today? Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial with the call.
And they're off. Uncle's Gem from the extreme outside. Now moving on through is Calm Set. Down towards the inside is Highway Queen, and Snicket is up close. 4 of them across the track, and the favorite, She's the One, sits just off them in 5th. Mashney Girls on the outside and in 6th. Master of the Tunes runs in 7th, followed by Write This Down, Candy Monet, and trailing the field is Ancient Brown in 10th. Calm Set leads here by 3/4 of a length. Snicket on the outside in 2nd, the quarter. 21-4 as they go around the far turn. It is Calm Set. Challenged here on the outside by Snicket, and the 2 of them are right together. They've got 2 lengths. On Uncle's Gem, who's on the outside in 3rd. Highway Queen is down towards the rail in 4th. Then comes She's the One, who's got a lot to do here as the field comes into the stretch. To her outside is a Mashney Girl. It is Calm Set and Snicket. And now She's the One is gaining ground on the outside. Here comes She's the One to take over the lead here. She's the One is in front. The battle will be for 2nd. She's the One is the one here. And she won by 3 lengths. A photo for 2nd among Uncle's Gem, along with Master of the Tunes and Highway Queen.
Finally, a little bit of form here in the Nightcap, and odds-on favorite closes out this Friday card here in New York. Irad Ortiz Jr., Christophe Clement, and a homebred from Mary Lakes Farm.
Yeah, just set a really sweet trip. Actually, a lot of pace on here. A couple guys probably read the form the way you and I did, Greg, and decided, hey, there's not a lot of speed. Let's give it a go here, and it wound up being a fairly contested pace. Very patient. Irad Ortiz Jr. sat, waited, came out for the drive, and she powered away as much the best. Very close photo for 2nd. I do believe the 10 Uncle's Gem got her nose down on the wire for 2nd, but sure looks like it there. Yep.
3:10 forward, what it looks like here in the Nightcap. 3-5 on this 3-year-old filly by Macho Uno. A little bumping between the 2 and the 10 in the stretch.
Yeah, 2 came out a little bit. It looked like the 10 might have stepped in just a bit when she changed to her right lead. And it looks right here like the 2, Highway Queen, was going to hold off the 10 Uncle Gem for 2nd, but Uncle Gem kept at it resolutely and got it done, but no doubt about the winner. She's the one. Well, she's the one who put the Earth back on its axis here.
Yeah, just a wild day of monster upsets here in South Ozone Park on a big carryover day. $288,000 carryover coming in. No one's going to hit it this afternoon. There were payouts to 4 of 6, actually. Several of them in the nightcap. To check it at Oaklawn, Hot Springs, Arkansas, on opening day of the meet. And a maiden special weight, 6 furlongs, 2-year-old fillies. In this race for Hyper Sport. Looked pretty good. First time out at Keeneland was 31-1. Had the lead in the stretch, wound up runner-up by a length. We'll get to that one in a moment. We start with Red Queen for Ron Moquette.
Yeah, it was well beaten at Remington Park. How is that going to translate? Although last year we saw a lot of horses come out of Remington run well at Oaklawn.
Took a lot of money, was the favorite in that race. Here's a first-time starter by Derby winner Super Saver.
Out of a mare that was a debut winner and actually a stakes winner subsequently.
Tis now filly debuting for the Danny Pites barn, 23-1.
Danny Pites, terrific horseman, but a trainer whose horses get better with racing.
Reigning Eclipse Award-winning trainer Brad Cox sending out this first-time starter by McLean's Music.
Yeah, a horse that's not taking a tremendous amount of money by the brilliant McLean's Music.
Winningest trainer in North American history, Steve Asmussen, is going to have Roll Baby next door. Showed speed in the debut, was 20-1 first time out.
Yeah, showed high speed. Daughter of Into Mischief certainly could improve with that effort.
Clay's Cloudburst next door, this 6-horse moving to a new barn.
It went off at a huge price on debut, going long. Usually means they didn't show a lot of speed in the mornings.
And the money all over this 7 Hypersport, who was again 31-1 in the debut.
But ran huge, showed good speed that day, and should be tough.
And was well clear of the third-place finisher as well. And then first-time starter for Phil Bauer here, Little Mambo, Into Mischief, cost $500,000.
Yeah, out of a mare that has had one other foal to race, a 3-time winner, although albeit at a lower level. And
stablemate of the 4-Sweet Beauty here for Brad Cox, Firewolves, first-timer by Practical Joke.
Yeah, out of a mare, Foxy Friend, Crafty Friend mare, who's had 5 winners and 2 debut winners. So there is precocity in the family, strong work tab from solid connections.
4 minutes to post in the 7th here, coming up from Oaklawn. Opening day of the meet starting a little bit earlier this year. And easy to see why the public likes Hypersport with that debut at one of the tougher meets in the country, that Keeneland meet.
Yeah, Keeneland's always tough. The racing's so competitive, and this horse ran so big that day. And, you know, it's always important to me when I look at horses that ran so big on debut, how are they acting? How did they, come out of that? Are they, more nervous? I like the work tab since. Real nice work at Oaklawn Park on November 23rd.
7th here at Oaklawn, coming up momentarily. Let's check in live with more on opening day. Our Hall of Famer, Gary Stevens.
Greg, Richie, what a day it is here at Oaklawn Park. First time ever that they've opened in December, and the crowd is out here. They've continued to pack in here. They've saved the best for last. The last 3 races, exciting, but listen, after we did the first race today, I was out in the grandstand walking around. These people absolutely love their horse racing here in Hot Springs and look forward to continuing on here. The full race meet is going to be live here. We're super excited about it, and the fans are excited to have us here and bringing it into your homes right now. So start things off here with this maiden special. Hypersport, the favorite in here, when she walked into the paddock, she was on her horse. She was hyper. She was a little bit wet. It's cooled off here a little bit from what we had earlier on this afternoon, but when she came out of the paddock, I loved what I saw. She'd cooled off. She was acting well during the post-parade, but she looked ready to roll. Greg, Richie?
All right, Gary, thank you. And for those just tuning in, didn't see our coverage earlier, Gary, he is going to be extremely busy this meet representing 2 riders, Tiago Pereira and Giovanni Franco as well.
Yeah, 2 terrifically talented riders handled by a Hall of Famer and a guy that has connections, been successful at Oaklawn Park, and it's going to be interesting to see. Gary's juggling a couple of different things, but fun to have Gary there on site. And I love Hot Springs. Reminds me so much of Saratoga. Go to a restaurant at night. The talk about it, in the restaurants is what happened that day at the races and what we can look forward to tomorrow at the races. So it's just a wonderful town that loves horse racing.
How do we bet this race? Let's go back to JK for more.
Speaking of restaurants, I'm a sucker for Italian. DeLuca's Pizza in Hot Springs, one of my favorite places to go. You might run into Frank Miramati there. He's always fun. Look, I'm going to try to beat the 7 Hypersport. I mean, the horse ran well on debut, and to Richie's point, running well at Keeneland does go a long way. But the race wasn't particularly fast. The horse was a big number that day, 31-1. So you start questioning how good the rest of the field was with a 31-1 shot running so well. At a short price, I'm going to try to beat Hypersport. I'm going to do it with the 8 Little Mambo. You mentioned Phil Bauer has this expensive Into Mischief. Phil Bauer has been winning lots of races at Rigney for Rigney Racing. He had a great meet at Saratoga this summer, but he's been doing it with less than $500,000 horses, right? And I think that getting an opportunity with a horse like this, I'm hopeful to see how this horse runs, and I think that having the outside draw outside of the 7 Hypersport makes a lot of sense. I don't have to tell you about the 9 Fire Wolves and Brad Cox. It's Brad Cox. Sure, this horse might win, but give me the 8 Little Mambo at 5-1.
All right, JK, thanks. Yeah, $500,000 daughter of Into Mischief. And the board was telling you, too, this one likely has some ability and is shown in the mornings because 10-1 morning lines become 5-1 now.
Yeah, and she has a nice work tab. I'm not as big on times as I am on spacing of works, and she's worked very consistently since going back to the beginning of October. That tells you have a healthy horse, a horse who hasn't had a lot of interruptions in their training, and she sprinkled in some solid works, from a time standpoint as well, which just kind of complements the steady work tab.
So 5-1 on a first-time starter. 9-5 favorite on Hypersport, and you look at the distance of that debut. It was 6.5 furlongs. She had the lead late in the stretch. Now she shortens up to 6. Maybe benefits her. We'll find out. But it just immediately, and that's the nature of this game, the value evaporates fast with a performance like that.
Well, she's tipped her hand that she does have ability, and if you had her at 31-1, it's a little bit hard to take her at 9-5, isn't it?
Hopefully, I had her underneath.
Yeah, hopefully.
In the debut.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see who pressures her because she was close to the pace early. It looks like certainly Roll Baby, the 5, who we talked about for Steve Asmussen, another one who was a big price in her debut at Keeneland. She showed speed as well. So certainly those two want to be forward. And then we don't know what we're going to get from these firsters in terms of pace.
Yeah, and usually with firsters, the tendency for riders, maybe I should just speak for myself, but I believe the tendency for riders is that you want to put them in the game. Mentally, you want to help them away from the gate. You want to make sure they understand why they're there. They're not, getting lost. It's not morning workout time. It's race time and get serious. So you tend to kind of, ask them away from the gate a little bit more than you would a horse that's already had racing experience.
So slowly making their way to the gate for this 7th coming up. Again, the feature is next on this opening day card. That's the Advent, where we're going to see our colleague Tom Amos with, obviously a lot of intriguing youngsters in here, but Higher Standard's one of them who looked so good first time out, going to break from that outside post.
And he's quick, but the outside post gives him the option if somebody really is on a mission to go to the lead that he can stalk from the outside. He's not forced into the race. He was very impressive, the son of Into Mischief, and it feels like we're being so redundant. We say that how often? Son or daughter of Into Mischief being impressive.
You want to breed to that one. Usually good things happen. Meanwhile, Kairama, Steve Asmussen, we saw in the Nashua after that one broke his maiden at Belmont in the debut. Tried a mile. That didn't go well. Now going to cut back in distance, and another one is going to take a lot of money in that feature.
Yeah, he makes a lot of sense. I mean, he stepped up in the Nashua, tried to get more distance, turns back in distance. Good to see Ricardo Santana Jr. on a live Steve Asmussen runner. He actually won the second race today at Oaklawn Park for Steve. So that's a combination we've seen that's been formidable over the years. Maybe not riding Ricardo quite as much recently, but you start winning for a guy, you start getting a lot of those mounts back.
Yeah, that was Requisition that won that second race together. But, yeah, just it's been strange to see sort of them not be the main clients for each other anymore. Ricardo be the main client for Steve Asmussen because they've been together and his number one man rider for so long. But, yeah, good to see that one earlier. Going to team up with them in the feature. Then we're going to see them in the nightcap as well together.
It's always an ebb and flow of relationships with jockeys and trainers and jockeys and owners. And the only way to keep everybody happy is to continue to win. And there's going to be times you go into a slump where things just don't go quite right. You don't get the bounces. It's the nature of sport. Hopefully Ricardo can keep his head up, keep the attitude good, keep riding hard, and things will work out.
8 straight riding titles in Hot Springs for Ricardo Santana Jr. And just because of that relationship, and we see Steve Asmussen using different jockeys and not exclusively Ricardo, that streak now in jeopardy this year. And also the arrival of Joel Rosario, who unfortunately yesterday here in New York injured a rib, is going to be out for a few weeks, but will be, when he heals up, riding full-time at Oaklawn.
Yeah, and it's going to be more difficult for Ricardo. When you have a powerhouse outfit like Steve Asmussen, who wins, so many races. I mean, this year he's already had over 430 winners. That's a steady supply of live mounts for you.
7th race here coming up. It's Hypersport, the 7 for Ingrid Mason, the one to beat. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
They're at the post. They're off. Roll Baby and Hyper Sport break very well. Red Queen is at the rail. Little Mumbo's into the bit, and there goes Little Mumbo, a first-time starter to put her head in front. Firewolves is next, then Ice Orchid and Wicked Wonder, followed by Sweet Beauty, and the trailer is Clay's Cloudburst. It is Hyper Sport and Little Mumbo up the backstretch, and now Hyper Sport leads by a half length. Little Mumbo is second, 2.5 lengths to Roll Baby and Firewolves. Then it's 2.5 more back to Ice Orchid. Then comes At the Rail and Red Queen. Wicked Wonders alongside her. Sweet Beauty has 12 lengths to make up, and she's 2 in front of Clay's Cloudburst as they run around the far turn with Hyper Sport, the one to beat. Hyper Sport is a half length in front of Little Mambo in second. Fire Wolves to the outside is all in now in third, and 2 from the front, still in with a chance. Roll Baby is next. Ice Orchid, final furlong, Hyper Sport leads. She's built up her lead to a 2-length advantage over Fire Wolves and to the inside and Roll Baby, but it's Hyper Sport a 16th out, and now she's 3 in front. Firewolves is second, Ice Orchid is third, Hyper Sport in front. Hyper Sport won nicely, 3.5. Firewolves was second, Ice Orchid third, and Little Mumbo finished fourth.
Well, you didn't get that 31-1 that she went off at in her debut and just missed. Instead goes off as the favorite. Does not disappoint, though, as the one to beat. Hypersport in start number 2.
Showed high speed, took pressure from Little Mambo, the 8, and then just drew away. So she showed that race at Keeneland was no fluke, and I think she improved off of that effort. Nice run from her. Little Mambo showed high speed. First-time starter on the outside for Brad Cox, ran well with Florent Giroux. And that's Firewolves. And how about the 2, Ice Orchid, John Ortiz, short leaf stable. We know how much John and Anthony loves the racing at Oaklawn Park at Hot Springs. Out of a nice mare singlet, ran on well to be third. Will improve with the race.
7-9-2 in the 7th from Oaklawn. Hypersport the favorite. Start number 2 breaks through. Daughter of Blame. Claiborne Stallion with the victory for Ingrid Mason. Muddy Waters Stables with Francisco Arrieta aboard. Prices from this one when we come back. We're going to preview the big one coming up on Saturday here in New York. Grade 1 Cigar Mile and Ginobili looking for the first Grade 1 win of his career. Coming off that runner-up to Life is Good in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. We'll be back.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are winning.
But it is all happy soul.
It will be run to daylight.
And Run Up will make every pole a winning one in the sorority.
Breathtaking move around the far turn. Nifty maneuver between horses through traffic, swung wide, kicked on, and Smile Happy the winner.
Don't miss out on the stallion value of a lifetime. Call Bernie Sams right now and book your mare today. Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2, Bally Sports Southern California. Good to have you with us. Program brought to you in part by Cleburne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. She's the one. Impressive in the finale, winning at a short price to close out the card at Aqueduct. Irad Ortiz Jr., Christophe Clement, Mary Legs Farm team up for the win.
Always a handful of horse, tracking a fast pace, is going to angle out to the clear after saving ground around the turn, and she just powers home. Big, long, striding daughter of, Macho Uno. I was going to say Mucho Macho Man. Macho Uno, excuse me. And she finished powerfully. Uncle's Gem gets her nose down in front for second, and Master of the Tunes at a big price just gets up for third under Johnny Velasquez.
Yeah, that's the one who would beat the favorite in a maiden race. $3.30 for the victory. Even with that, pick 5, $47,118 in the pick 6. 5 pays $2,900. There's the carryover number for Saturday, so triple pick 6 carryover, $729,611 for Cigar Mile Saturday. People are going to be up very late tonight again doing some more handicapping.
Well, we heard Jonathan talking about it. He and Rigatoni will be up handicapping all night. I'd say, how cute is Rigatoni?
Amazing. One of my favorite pastas, too. I'm a fan already. It's going to be a fun Saturday. Includes not just that Cigar Mile, but again, Demoiselle, Remsen on the Road to the Oaks in the Derby. Get some friends together because you're going to want some coverage in those races. Back at Oaklawn, Hypersport. Even more impressive in start number 2.
Absolutely. Ran well first time. I think improved second time with the race under her belt. Really finished the deal. Took pressure from the 8 Little Mambo, who looks like one of those horses who just goes as fast and as hard as she possibly can, but the daughter of Blame. Good speed and had good finish today under Francisco Arrieta. Another winner for him to start off the Oaklawn meet. Good try from the 9 Firewolves, just second best. And another first-time starter I thought really ran well, the 2 Ice Orchid, that I think will improve as she stretches out. But Hypersport, 440 as your favorite.
All right, so 20-1 though in third underneath, helping your exotics if you played that and hit that trifecta. Well done. Feature next on the opening day card from Oaklawn. It's the Advent. We'll talk more about it when we come back. We're going to preview Saturday in the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. Todd Pletcher sending out a pair of 3-year-olds. One of them stretching out off a troubled performance in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. The other cutting back, a New York bred, American Revolution. Stay with us.
It's a Motown, the son of Uncle Mo, to win the Remsen.
Motown flying, Motown will win a Thriller, Motown to win it, and Motown has won the Hollywood Derby.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
The symposium is important because it gathers everyone together, right? To get together face-to-face is where it's going to happen, where you can actually make the deals that you need to.
We all get together and try to determine things that are happening in the business, things that should happen, and things that we need to turn our attention to.
The symposium brings the different aspects of the industry together, and it also gives the vendors an opportunity to interact with their potential customers.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
You're watching America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. The ABR race of the week. It is coming up on Saturday here in South Ozone Park at the Big A. It's the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. And this is the field that will line up. Going a one-turn mile. Todd Pletcher, as we mentioned, he's going to send out a couple of 3-year-olds. They got a tough task ahead of them. Let's meet the contenders for this year's edition of the Cigar Mile presented by Naira Bets. Awarded Grade 1 status 3 years after its inauguration in 1988, the Naira Mile was renamed in 1997 to honor the legendary cigar. It is the last Grade 1 event of the season for 3-year-olds and up on the New York circuit. Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher sends out Following C and American Revolution. Following C is one of several horses in this race seeking their first Grade 1 win. The 3-year-old was a troubled third in the Breeders' Cup Sprint after dominating the Vosburg Stakes. American Revolution has demonstrated he too belongs in this company after a third-place effort behind Hot Rod Charlie and Midnight Bourbon in the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. A 3-year-old, American Revolution won by more than 11 lengths over older horses in the Empire Classic Handicap. Ginobili's connections took their show on the road to procure the 4-year-old's first Grade 1 score. Based on the West Coast, the son of Munnings enters the Cigar Mile off a second-place finish behind runaway winner Life is Good in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Independence Hall is a perfect 2 for 2 at Aqueduct at this distance, including a win in the Grade 3 Nashua as a 2-year-old. And Code of Honor, the 2019 Travers and Jockey Club Gold Cup winner, comes into this race after finishing second to Independence Hall in the Fayette Stakes. This year's edition of the Cigar Mile plays a role not only in determining divisional honors, but in showcasing the sport's stars. Fun group that's going to contest this. A lot of depth in this year's Cigar Mile, including a runner-up to the fantastic Life is Good in that Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Ginobili was really coming into that race in incredible form. He hit a mile at Del Mar with a 104 Beyer speed figure, the best of his career. Then he won the Grade 2 Pat O'Brien with a 102 Beyer. And runner-up to Life is Good. There's no shame in that.
No, none whatsoever. In really good form. And, you know, you'd have to think that if Life is Good was in the Cigar Mile, he would be a prohibitive favorite in here. Ginobili ran big going the 1-turn 7 furlongs here in the Pat O'Brien. A terrific 2-turn Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and he was just second best to Life is Good. And a horse that just seems to make a lot of sense.
4-year-old will have Drayden Van Dyke aboard, coming east for the first time. That was a big effort in the Breeders' Cup. Independence Hall is an interesting horse too, who's 4 for 5 around 1 turn in his career, and really some of his best moments, certainly that Nashua early on in his career, one of the biggest races he's ever run.
Yeah, no doubt. So he's shown an affinity for Aqueduct already. He comes off a big win in the Fayette that was on a sloppy track. I do think that effort was aided on a sloppy track, but I like the fact that he's already won at the distance on this surface, and impressively.
Code of Honor, too, some of his best performances. Yep. I still think one of the best races he ever ran. It was a 1-turn mile, but that Dwyer at Belmont, this will be a 1-turn mile here at Aqueduct, so see if he can get back to some of his better performances of his career in his swan song here.
And he's certainly a horse that would appreciate if he sees some real pace on it here, and I think there's potential for real pace to be on here.
Going to be a great edition of this Grade 1 Cigar Mile, and again, Pletcher with Following C, American Revolution, couple of 3-year-olds, one stretching out, one cutting back. We will have it for you live tomorrow on the program. Feature on opening day at Oaklawn. Up next, the Advent 2-year-old sprinting 6 furlongs. 1 to 2 on a higher standard right now for Tom Amos.
Wow. I mean, listen, I thought he was a contender, but that seems...
What did Tom not tell us?
Somewhat short, but hey, you know what? Good horseman. A horse that ran big first time by a top stallion and into mischief.
Florent Giroux will be aboard. We'll look at the favorite and the rest of this group coming up for the Advent when we return. 13 minutes to post in the opening day feature from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Stay with us. We'll be back with the post parade right after this.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires, ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Recent top runners include Group 1 winner Homesman, graded stakes winners Master of Foxhounds, Ancient Rome, and Bombard. Plus Annapolis, who became his sire's 100th stakes winner. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you here on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by a one-of-a-kind sprinter, Run Happy, the champion. Never lost in his career while sprinting and did it all while racing medication-free. We saw a very talented 2-year-old son of Run Happy remain perfect and win in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Smile Happy for Kenny McPeak. He has a bright future. The Advent or feature on opening day from Oaklawn is next here. 10 minutes to post, 3 to 5. On the outside runner, higher standard for our colleague Tom Amos. This horse, though, poses a challenge for sure. Kairama for Steve Asmussen.
Oh, no doubt. A horse that won going 6.5 on debut at Belmont Park, leading gate to wire. Tried the the Nashua, stretched out. Didn't work out that day, but he turns back in distance, and he's well drawn towards the outside.
Still, even, you look at the debut and the figure he ran, he would have to take a big leap forward to the number this horse ran in his debut, higher standard. It was on a muddy track. He'll get a fast track for the first time today.
Yeah, but his works on fast tracks have been impressive as well, and he tipped his hand that he could run beforehand with, a couple of 59 and change works. It's a sub-minute 5 furlongs. It means he went faster than 12 seconds per eighth for the 5 furlongs.
Here it is, muddy going, as you can see, back on November the 14th. Went off at 6-1. In this race, and he just pulls away from this group. Wins by more than 5 lengths at first asking.
So hard to put that kind of separation on a field going 5.5 furlongs, but he did, and he drew away impressively. He's stretching out another 100 yards. The way he finished this race, I don't see that that's going to be any sort of concern, and I think he's aided by the outside post. He's quick, but he's not forced into the race, and this is something new we're seeing at Oaklawn Park now, Greg. Never usually have 2-year-old racing because they start after the first of the year. Before the 2-year-olds get running, they're finished. Now this year, starting in December, we actually have 2-year-old racing at Oaklawn Park.
Call to post. We'll get a look at the whole field here coming up. We'll see where Hired Standard places himself here in this race. He sat just off the pace early in his debut. There are certainly some that look like they want to show speed to his inside here. We'll kick things off with Kavad for Chris Hartman, who just won for a different barn, was claimed out of that race for $50,000. That was a win at Churchill. And this is, in terms of this field, the only multiple winner in this group. That win for 50 was the second of his career. He actually lined up, and 2 was stakes placed in the Tremont here at Belmont.
And a horse making his 9th start as a 2-year-old speaks about his durability. I think you see a lot of that from the sire Lee, just tough, hard-knocking kind of horses that are durable.
We'll make the turn here in a moment. We'll get a look at this whole group. Ruggs, the 4, has been quick. Oro Azteca, the 5, has shown speed as well. And probably Kairama, the 9, with what he did in his debut. Another horse that wants to be forward.
He can be forward, but I don't think this pace was as sharp for Kairama at Belmont first time out as some of the other horses.
So here again, Kavad, this is the multiple winner. He'll get Lasix today, the son of Lee, who was a bargain $3,500 at the Keeneland sale. He's already won $153,000.
Adorable son of Lee who shows up.
40 Stripes. Blinkers go on, trained by Jerry Hollendorfer.
It was good on the dirt at Monmouth. Don't think he really cared for Delaware Park that much.
Gunrunner, who is off to a sensational start at stud. Ron Moquette trains this one and won at first asking.
Yeah, that precocity. We saw last year, Remington Park form held up pretty well at Oaklawn Park.
Oro Azteca, this one quick early for Gennaro Garcia.
More speed sign on the fair, making his 8th start. And this horse is getting back to sprinting. He ran long once. I don't think he cared for that.
Sonny is not so funny. He won first time out, gate to wire. That was at Ellis. He's had 2 tries against winners.
I don't know Sonny, but I would imagine he's probably pretty funny.
This one just claimed.
This horse showed high speed on debut, too, at Ellis Park.
Impulsus Carpe Diem Philly, who is taking on the boys.
And Broker Maiden for 20, rallying from very far back.
54-1. And then 2 big contenders outside. Here's a Steve Asmussen, son of Cairo Prince, who will cut back in distance.
Tried the National Air to Mile, turns back to sprint. He's 1-for-1 sprinting. Hall of Fame conditioner, Steve Asmussen.
And the 4-5 favorite for Tom Amos, the Into Mischief Higher Standard, who won his debut in the mud that we showed you.
I love how composed he is. When a horse runs big first time, the only thing I get concerned about is how are they going to react to it? Is it going to be something that makes them nervous, work on their nerves? He looks like a very composed individual.
He is making a tremendous appearance at 4-5 on the board, acting like he knows he's favored. So big price from Sonny. We'll get back to that horse and hear from our Hall of Famer Gary Stevens with some long shots here in the feature. Gary.
Yeah, there's some long shots here in the feature, but I think this is higher standards race to lose. This racetrack has been favoring speed horses all day long. There's only been 2 horses that have come from off the pace throughout the day to win, and those were set by the fractions were set by heavy long shots, and they didn't come from that far out of it. So I think that he is the speed of the speed here. I think Flo has realized what's going on. He's won a race, taking him gate to wire. Today he's got a great post position to the outside. I think he can sit if he needs to sit. If they're in front of him, I think they're going entirely way too fast. So I think it's his race to lose. Honestly, on paper, I like it on paper, but I liked even more what I saw out here on the racetrack. A lot of class. He's very poised when he walked by and then jogged off, and he's behaving himself right now. So that's where I'm going. I think it's all higher standard, guys.
Gary, thanks. Yeah, 4-5. He just looked incredibly composed on the racetrack as we look at the Asmussen runner next door. But a lot to like. We'll see. 5.5 furlongs in the mud in his debut. Now he's going to try 6 furlongs in a fast track first time against winners.
Yeah, but, Gary said something that I think it's really important for people to pay attention to, particularly at a young meeting, this Oaklawn Park meeting just starting today, looking for tendencies of the racetrack. How is the racetrack, playing? And it does seem you want forward position. Speed is a good thing to possess. And here you have a horse that's run a very fast figure, was very impressive on debut, and he has speed, and that's playing to the racetrack strength.
There he is. Still 4-5 and still making a nice impression.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He left the pony, but he doesn't look like he's, very excited about anything. Again, a horse that fast, usually they would get on their nerves a little bit. They would kind of, really show a little bit more of an edge, and he just looks like very matter-of-fact about things.
Been there, done that. New surroundings. The debut Churchill now at a new track, taking it all in. But, yeah, he seems awfully low-key, composed right now. Let's check in with Jonathan for more.
Yeah, look, you guys don't need me to tell you about how a 4-5 shot's going to win, but let me tell you why I feel like that's the case, because I think that that's also important. The thing about Higher Standard is that when he debuted, Higher Standard did not run with Lasix. He's now getting Lasix. You got to think that could potentially help his performance. At least it's not going to hurt. his performance. And that's the other thing, is that he did run on a muddy racetrack, and sometimes you wonder about big debuts on muddy racetracks. You know, I think sometimes it can lead you down a path of a horse that maybe isn't as good as it might seem. I will say this about Higher Standard. I'm a speed figure guy, a speed figure being a number that represents how fast a horse runs. The higher the better, very similar to a quarterback rating in football. Higher Standard's number was fast last time. Take importantly, his pace figures that let you know how fast he ran early in the race were blazing fast. I think he's got an opportunity to take another step forward, and couldn't pick another place I'd rather have this horse drawn towards the outside. He might not be the greatest betting proposition at 4-5, but he's a big rooting proposition for me because I want my man Tom Amos to have a nice 2-year-old.
Always rooting for Tom. We work with him every summer. And we'll see. He's had some nice youngsters. He had some nice 2-year-olds win this summer at Saratoga. He had a tremendous meet and continuing to have success with another nice debut from this horse. And we'll see if he can keep it going in this field. He's expected to at 4-5, but we'll see how he handles this fast man going.
Always nice to get off to a start of a new meet like Oaklawn with a win, particularly in a stake race. Tom closing in on 100 wins for the year, consistently high percentage, and runs a lot of horses, and it's difficult to keep that percentage up when you run as many horses as Tom does. Tom's also a trainer that completely understands the value of speed, and a trainer that is not bashful about telling his jockeys to let his horses use their speed.
No question. If his horse has any ability to be in front, Tom wants him there forward. And we'll see where this horse is able to place himself early, because he was tactical in the debut, and there's a pretty hot pace early on in that debut, and he was not far off it.
No, and again, the outside post gives him the luxury. You know, he's going to be close to the pace, if not on the lead, but he's not forced. If he was inside of other speed horses, Florent Giroux's got a little more pressure on him. The horse has got to break clean. You got to make sure someone doesn't able to squeeze you or drop over on you. Being outside gives him the luxury of allowing him to get into his stride properly.
So the outside two taking the majority of the money in here, and then outside of that, it's Kavad down on the inside. That's the multiple winner. Horse who does have that 50 claiming win at Churchill, and taken for that price in Connection State Let's Try Stakes Company, and a purse of $150,000 here late in the year, as you mentioned, for 2-year-olds.
I mean, this horse started running back in April, going 4.5 furlongs at Keeneland. Came to Belmont, broke his maiden going 5. Went right into Stakes Company, steady diet of stakes until his last start when he ran for 50, was well placed. He won. He was claimed, and now he's back in Stakes Company. And again, I think what this horse has shown is how durable he is. A 2-year-old now making his 9th start, son of Lee. Started his campaign in April, and here we are in December running at Oaklawn. And again, 2-year-old racing at Oaklawn, not something we've seen in the past because of the timing of the meet. They usually started after the first of the year and ended before the 2-year-old season really got into full swing.
Well, it's the long shot. Sonny, not so funny. Taking things in here for Carl DeVille. He'll get Lasix for his first start. He actually won his debut at Ellis. He got actually a pretty big number for that debut, and it's been tough going in a couple of starts against winners since. That was all the way back in July. Definitely struggled at Keeneland. Bounced back a little bit at Churchill, but off what that horse actually did in his debut, if he could somehow return to that or improve on that, getting Lasix, he would be interesting in here.
Well, he certainly ran fast enough on debut. I mean, he actually got a higher buyer speed figure than Higher Standard did on his debut. Then he ran at Keeneland, and that race was just too bad to be true. The fact that he was essentially eased in the race, then he drops in for 50. Lasix could be a key here, and it throws a whole other thing into the equation here. A lot of horses will race on Lasix that don't actually need it. Sometimes the horse really needs it, and that's the ones that really turns their form around.
We'll see if it makes a difference with this 23-1 shot, but this is the one that everyone's got to beat, the horse who just left your screen. Higher Standard, the son of Into Mischief, for trainer Tom Amos. You were talking about how consistently good he is and how he wins. It's with all these horses. He's among the top 20 trainers in the history of our sport in wins. Of that group of 20, he has the highest win percentage.
That's an incredible statistic. The fact that, again, he's in such elite company, and amongst that elite company, he has the highest win percentage out of those people. And you're talking about guys that run a lot of horses. This isn't a small sample. This isn't a guy winning 10 races with 30 starters. This is a guy that's consistently running over 500-600 horses a year with that kind of percentage.
So steady favoritism been maintained with Higher Standard to the outside. Are you ever worried, too? I mean, this is start number 2, but still have an outside post with a young horse. As you always say, they can break outwards. It can be an issue.
You know, I always think of particularly young horses, horses with less experience. They're a bit like water. They flow to empty space. Having the outside post, so Florent Giroux is a seasoned veteran. You know, he knows that he's got to have this horse's attention leaving the gate. So, you know, especially as professionally he's acted, Greg, I mean, he looks like an older horse, a horse that's just been there and done that. He doesn't seem to be on his nerves whatsoever.
There he is in those gold silks, David Campbell. 4-5 on the board. Feature on opening day here from Oaklawn coming up. The Advent 2-year-olds running for a purse of $150,000. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
They're at the post. They're off. Perfect start. Oro Azteca wins the break and goes to the front from Higher Standard and Kavad, second and third. 40 Stripes is fourth. Sonny is not so funny. Had to check and check hard. Cost him 3 or 4 lengths. Up the backstretch in the first running of the Advent Stakes, and the leader is Oro Azteca. He's a length and a half in front of Higher Standard and Kavad, together second and third. Then to the outside in Ruggs, fourth and about 2.5 off the lead. He's a length and a half in front of 40 Stripes and Kairama. Then it's 4 back to the troubled Sonny is not so funny, and the distant trailer is Impulsus as they round the far turn. Oro Azteca is the leader from Higher Standard, who comes calling for the front. Could have a new leader at the top of the stretch. We do. It's Higher Standard, and he takes charge. Oro Azteca is gone. Kairama in the center of the track. Ruggs is between horses, and Kavad final furlong. Higher Standard has the lead. Kavad is coming after him now in second, and he means business. Higher Standard only a half length. Kavad is on the attack, and here's Kavad alongside Higher Standard, and Kavad has taken the lead. Kavad, Higher Standard, Kairama, Kavad in front. Kavad wins the first Advent stake over Higher Standards. Then came Kairama and Ruggs.
The only multiple winner in the field now picks up the 3rd win of his career. Kavad gets by Higher Standard with Francisco Arrieta.
Well, he was good to the previous connections. Kavad with 2 wins, $153,000 earnings, and then purchased or claimed away for $50,000 for a $3,500 purchase. But this is looking like a very sharp $50,000 claim. I turned to you midway of the far turn and said, this Kavad is trying to climb over the leaders. And when Higher Standard kicked on, it gave Francisco Arrieta an opportunity to follow him through the line, much like a fullback, you know, breaking the way for a halfback, and he came out and he ran him down. This was a big effort for what appears to be a very sharp claim for Chris Hartman.
Yeah, how about that? Claim for $50,000. Now you come back and win a stake. 3 wins from 9 starts. As the most seasoned horse in the race. Had shown precocity early on this year as a 2-year-old in the Tremont here in New York. Only beat 3/4 of a length in that race behind Overbore. And now a stakes winner.
Son of Lee has just been, you know, hickory. He shows up, he tries, he's been in with the toughest of his generation, and here he is off a $50,000 claim, getting the lion's share of a $150,000 purse. And Francisco Arrieta off to a very fast start at this Oaklawn Park stand.
So it's Kavad in the Advent, Chris Hartman, Francisco Arrieta, and in upset. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to be back and talk Demoiselle on the road to the Kentucky Oaks for 2022. You'll see that race tomorrow on the program. Tap the Faith won at First Asking. Mom won the Alabama back when she was running. We'll duel with Zandon. It was impressive first time out for Chad Brown as well. We'll be back.
The return of Sunday Silence.
Sunday Silence surges to the front. It's Yoshida in front. Yoshida takes charge at the top of the stretch, and Yoshida wins the Turf Classic.
Here comes Yoshida, storming home in the center with Gunnavera. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the 1-word.
The perfect balance. Yoshida.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solovini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Blood Horse Plus, available through bloodhorse.com, provides exclusive, timely, and unmatched content to subscribers, including Fox Sports, Blood Horse branded weekly programs, a detailed stakes winners section, behind-the-scenes videos from Blood Horse staff, on-demand access to deeper horse statistics, and a $5 monthly credit to equineline.com. Upgrade to Blood Horse Plus today.
Back on America's Day at the races, everyone heading home here in New York, warming up to do some late night holiday handicapping for a 3-day carryover in the Pick 6. Huge number heading into Saturday, Cigar Mile Day. Just shy of about $800,000 carryover into tomorrow.
Just putting a whole nother layer of excitement on an already exciting day of racing. Our last Grade 1 of the year, the Cigar Mile, and a huge carryover. And somebody could have a life-changing score tomorrow.
Get those funds together, get your friends together, and yeah, get some big tickets to get as much coverage as you can. Also part of that Cigar Mile afternoon, Demoiselle, Remsen on the road to the Oaks, and the Kentucky Derby. We're going to take a look back to 2000. Big moment for you on 2-item limit, who dominated this group.
She did dominate this group, daughter of Twining. Just a real nice little filly, and it meant a lot to me on a personal note because it was for Steve DeMauro Jr. His dad had brought me around when I was a kid. I was under contract to the stable. I grew up with Steve, and he's like a big brother to me. And to win a race like the Demoiselle for him, and the owner, Joe Graffio, a terrific guy. He was worried about me riding 2-item limit the stay grade because I had ridden in Saudi Arabia the very day before, and I took about 16 hours of planes to get back in time to ride her, and he was worried I was going to be too tired. But Steven assured him that I sleep better on planes than I probably do in my own bed. But 2-item limit, real nice 2-year-old filly, won the Tempted, won the Demoiselle, and then went on as a 3-year-old to win the Comely as well as the Black Eyed Susan. So
and third in the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Yeah, I got hurt before that,
yeah,
but
sorry,
she was a real nice filly. And again, because of the connections, Steven and Joe Graffio, people that I had a very strong history with.
This year's edition, it's race 9 on the card on Saturday at Aqueduct. Rematch between a couple of fillies who got to know each other last time out. Nest and Magic Circle. Tap the Faith, though, big pedigree in here for Christophe Clement. She was 6-1 in the debut. Got up to win by a head against Amorier, who we saw win earlier today on the card this afternoon at Aqueduct. Dam won the Alabama when she was on the racetrack.
Yeah, so she's got a pedigree that says this filly should appreciate the 1 1/8. You gotta like how she, just professionally she did things. She took kickback, she was far back. Joel Rosario running up into his hands, waiting, and then she just keeps coming with that relentless kind of run, hands and heels to the wire. Again, not a guy that makes a lot of use of the crop late, gave her one reminder, got her head in front, and certainly a race that you feel like she can build on.
I just think the more ground, the better for her, and she's going to get it tomorrow. Mile in the debut to win, and not easy to win from the position she was in as well, down on the inside. She'll get a 1 1/8 tomorrow. It's going to be fun to watch. Christophe Clement said she's just doing too good right now and training too well to not run her and now after this performance, it's going to give her a little bit of a rest.
Well, Christophe is a trainer that allows horses to tell him where to take them. He doesn't make a horse fit his idea of what they should do. He fits their idea of what they should do. And, you know, we hear this thrown around a lot about horse whisperers. There's no such thing as a horse whisperer. There's horse listeners. And when a conditioner like Christophe listens to what the horse is telling him and says she's ready to take on tougher going a mile and an eighth, you've got to respect it.
Boys are going to line up in the Remsen prior to that Demoiselle. And for Chad Brown, Zandon, his debut, it's very impressive, winning at 6 furlongs. Had to wait. Joel Rosario was patient, and then when he finally got running room, showed his ability. He's 5-2 in the morning line, son of Upstart. Here is the debut. He went off at 5-1 here, and will be a replacement rider, of course, with no Joel Rosario.
Yeah, Johnny Velasquez gets the call now on Zandon. Johnny Velasquez and Joel Rosario both represented by Ron Anderson. You got to love this. This is a horse that's full of run, in behind horses, a young horse, inexperienced, has to kind of steady, come out over heels, and then finishes resolutely. He showed he can overcome adversity. He showed that he's got toughness, grit. He took kickback, and he certainly finished with a beautiful, long, rhythmic stride that makes you feel like the mile and eighth won't be an issue. But will it be an issue in his second start, going from 1 6 furlong effort to a mile and eighth? He certainly has the right conditioner in Chad Brown to feel like there's a lot of confidence here to go right into this really good-looking son of Upstart, a son of Flatter, who not only has been a terrific sire, has shown that he's a sire of sires.
Big Jump's got to take on some more seasoned runners as well, like Mo Donegal on the rail for Todd Pletcher. It'll be his third career start. He won going a mile and a 16th, one turn mile and a 16th at Belmont. From another mother who was in that race as well, was beat a length and a half, who has a little more experience. Talent usually overcomes experience. We'll see how good he is.
Well, I agree, but you know, you go back to Mo Donegal quickly, a horse that absolutely loved the mile and eighth. Watch his replays. He's a horse. He's a typical what I call a bicycle horse. If you're not pedaling, he's not running. And I don't think he's even figured the game out yet. Like the proverbial light bulb hasn't gone on, because Irad's riding him so hard from about 6 furlongs out, and then he just kept finding. If he ever gets to a point where he actually helps the rider and takes him into the race a little bit, he could be special.
He's had some issues like Witt, his stablemate for Todd Pletcher, getting out of the gate. We'll see if he can resolve those issues tomorrow in the Remsen. $729,000. I might have inflated it a bit earlier. $729,611 in the Pick Six carryover for Saturday on Cigar Mile Day, Demoiselle and Remsen Day as well. Get that handicapping done. Good luck to everybody playing tomorrow. That pool is going to be big. Back at Oaklawn, Kavad wins the Advent. Third win from 9 career starts. What a claim for Chris Hartman. Let's go to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Here with Chris Hartman. Chris, Kavad claimed $50,000, 9th race of his 2-year-old career. Dive into the deep end. What was he telling you coming into this race?
Well, he come out of his last race really good. So, I mean, this race didn't look like it was overly stacked, so we took a chance, and it paid off.
It did pay off, and he was impressive doing it. He's tried turf, back on the dirt today. You plan to stretch him out in the near future?
No, I think that he's a sprinter, and you know, I know there's greener things on the route end, but there's also stuff in the sprint, so we're going to stay short.
So racing here at Oaklawn Park in December, did you think you'd ever see today, and what did you think about it?
I never thought we'd be running in December, but I'm sure glad they are.
Congratulations, Chris. Well done. Guys?
Gary, thanks. What a claim for Chris Hartman. Again, took him for $50,000 last time out, and now wins a $150,000 stake with this horse, who looks like going to remain sprinting, it sounds like, may have a bright future in the sprint division.
I love when trainers recognize, identify what a horse wants to do and does well and sticks to it and is not lured by the prospect of maybe having a Kentucky Derby type horse. Kavad looks like a crackerjack sprinter for Chris Hartman, who paid $840 in this Advent, running down the favorite Higher Standard, who ran well in his second start, just was second best today.
9th race, it is a money earned allowance here, 3/4 of a mile distance. And right now it's codename Kate for, guess who? Chris Hartman. Favored on the board. Was just second in the mud at Churchill Downs. Third off a short layoff today, daughter of Honor Code.
Who's been ultra consistent and gets David Cabrera, a rider that I've been impressed with, who had a good Oaklawn last year as well.
Winningest trainer in North American history, Steve Asmussen. His main man. They haven't been together as much of late, but they'll be together in the 9th coming up when we return.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKinsey. McKinsey preservationist Vino Rosso and Yoshida. McKinsey's in front.
McKinsey, they've done it. McKinsey has it by 2.
It's McKinsey in a dominant performance. Pure class in the Malibu.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2, Bally Sports Southern California. Program brought to you in part by Hill and Dale at Alapa. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori with you. We still have the nightcap coming up at Oaklawn, race 9. We'll get to in a moment. That tremendous card on Saturday. Cigar Mile, those 2-year-old races, and the Grade 3 Go for One, the champion 2-year-old and 3-year-old filly. And this is a look at her 1990 Beldame victory.
Just an incredible talent, trained by Billy Badgett, owned by Christiana Stable, Mrs. Lunger, beating older horses here as easily as it can be done as a 3-year-old. Just a phenomenal champion.
Ashland, Alabama, Beldame, Mother Goose in the Test. Part of that sensational championship 3-year-old season.
To win the Test in the Alabama, 7/8 and a mile and a quarter, and they were within 2 weeks of each other. I know it was a quick turnaround. Just a phenomenon. And that was the thing that made her incredibly special. She possessed sprint speed, but she could carry at classic distances.
Hall of Famer. Won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies as well. 10 for 13 in her career. This year's edition of the Go for One, Grade 3, coming up on Saturday, race 7 on the card. And Sharp Star will try and win this race again. Won it in the slop last year. 7-2 morning line. Horatio de Paz will have Jose Ortiz aboard.
And I loved her effort in the Empire District. You saw they went in with a plan. This is a filly that has shown incredible ability in the past. Her form kind of dissipated a little bit. She wasn't in the best form. Jose Ortiz took her back, and you saw it was on purpose. Purposely taking her back and made one sustained run, and she drew off powerfully. I think if she runs anywhere close back to this effort, the homebred for Barry and Cheryl Schwartz, Sharp Star is going to be a handful in this go for one. She won it last year attending the pace, but I think they found out what she really wants to do is settle and come from off the pace. And this daughter of Munnings had that, again, ability to make a very long sustained bid.
And she's done this before too. It's not like this is a one-off where she's tried something completely out of the norm for her. She is so versatile. Can be close, can come off it like she did last time. She's probably going to have to come off it in this race. Lady Rocket, Irad Ortiz Jr. will be aboard for Brad Cox. She is very quick. She's coming off a win, going 7 furlongs in the slop in the Pumpkin Pie at Belmont.
Yeah, but I also think horses change. They evolve. And sometimes we as humans make the mistake and don't change our idea of them or evolve with them. And I think that the connections recognize that, you know what, she used to have speed and she ran well that way. She's not running well that way now. Let's take her back and see if we can change her style, use her speed a different way. And I think Sharp Star hit on the style she wants to employ.
We'll see if she can go back to back. Again, that's race 7 on the Saturday Cigar Mile card from New York. Finale at Oaklawn. This 9th race here, 6 furlongs. Money earned allowance coming up. It's still codename Kate. Ms. Blue taking money as well. Co-favorites on the board. That one coming off 3 consecutive wins by more than 25 lengths combined. We'll be back right after this.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes. And added a Grade 1 with turf credentials in the Maker's Mark Mile. A winner in Grade 1 placed at 2. Multiple graded stakes victor at 3 and Grade 1 winner again at 4. This son of Warfront has proven his class at every level. At Keeneland November, his first mares and foals sold up to $310,000. War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
There are more race weekends and more ways to enjoy them at Oaklawn. With a new luxury hotel, more dining options than ever, world-class thoroughbred racing, and 24/7 action in our casino. This racing season is like no other. Book your escape at Oaklawn.com today. Oaklawn, Arkansas's only casino resort.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
We're back on America's Day at the Races and the nightcap on opening day of this meet at Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas coming up. Money earned allowance sprint at 6 furlongs. And as we were going to break, we were talking briefly about Ms. Blue. 3 wins in a row. She has 8 for 14 lifetime, winning at some lesser circuits, but she has been, as we mentioned, just incredibly dominant. The 5 filly in here. Those last 3 wins by more than 25 lengths combined.
She just is blazing speed, and it looks like she's a filly that likes going fast. Some horses are better allowing them to run freer and faster than trying to see if you can hold them up and have them finish it all.
Call to Post coming up. She's the 3 of them on the board at 3-1 as the second choices. Favorite still codename Kate for the Chris Hartman barn, who we just saw win with Kavad back in the Advent. What was the beginning of a new meet like for you as a rider? Just feeling like a fresh start and start on a fresh page, a good feeling?
Yeah, there's this feeling of excitement and anticipation. You want to get off to a good start because it kind of sets the tone for the meet. Success breeds success. You win right away. Owners and trainers are looking for you.
I'll make the turn here for the post parade coming up in a moment in a race where you got Some speed on the rail. Some of the main speed really was taken out of this race with the 4, who I don't know if that one was a contender, but would have shown pace. We know that Ms. Blue, the 5, can be quick early, and potentially the 8 Palm Cottage. The 10 Jets of Ginin as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about speed sign on. I agree with you. The 4 Bling Machine would have added a lot of pace to this affair, although I think there's ample pace anyway. That's the one thing I love about the race at Oaklawn, too. When you look at the pedigrees, look at where these horses are bred. You've got a Florida bred, an Iowa bred, a Kentucky bred. Bling Machine was bred in Colorado. Louisiana bred. I mean, horses are coming from everywhere to compete at Oaklawn, and I think that's what makes the racing so interesting. And Indiana bred in here as well.
It's a melting pot.
Absolutely.
Makes for tough handicapping, too, but for great wagering. And we're going to see a big long shot here to kick things off in a moment. A filly who actually won last time out here. She is at Hawthorne in an allowance optional claiming race with a 73 buyer.
A filly that seems to do her best running when she's able to make the lead. I don't know if she's quite as quick as some of these, and the inside draw does her no favors.
32-1 next door on Athena's Song.
A horse turning back in distance and landed in, I feel like, a pretty salty spot.
Codename Kate. Chris Hartman looking to take the late double on the opening day card with this filly.
A filly that could really fall into the right trip. I think she'll be sitting in that pocket in behind the pace.
Here's the filly on the 3-race win streak. In all 3 of those wins, she's been on the lead every single step of the way.
This is an 8-time winner and a filly that's blazingly fast. I think she's very interesting.
Ursulina next door at 19-1.
Yeah, trying the dirt, turning back in distance. Her recent form leaves a lot to be desired.
Palm Cottage. The 8 at 3-1 here. Brad Cox blinkers on, a filly by American Pharoah who's shown speed the last couple of starts.
Shown speed, but it could be a busy place. The lead here. She does add blinkers. She has burned some money in the past.
Nice appearance on the racetrack. The 10 Jets of Ginin. Yet more pace. A filly coming off synthetic, a 6-year-old mare who top at this record, 13 for 23.
13-time winner. Like horses with that winning habit. Francisco Arrieta. Already a few wins on this opening Oaklawn card.
10 for 16 on dirt, by the way, with the 10 Jets of Gin. And here's Flash Magic. Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr. team up again.
Strong connections, well placed outside. Should be able to take a look over and see what's happening inside, and Ricardo Santana has options.
Minute to post coming up. Let's check in again with Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, after what I saw in the last race, I'm glad that I saw it. A horse finally finishing strong, coming from well off the pace to get up and win. And I'll tell you, it changed my way of thinking about this race. This race is totally loaded with speed. Chris Hartman trying to come back and win the late double here with Codename Kate. And like Richie, I think that she's going to set the perfect trip. And if the track is playing fair, like it looks like it definitely is off that last race, that's where I'm going to land on is Codename Kate. You've got speed down on the inside with the 1 horse, and then Miss Blue coming off those 3 wins. She's got a ton of speed. Another one that's got a ton of speed is Jets of Gimme, or Jets of Ginin towards the outside. She's lightning quick, so that's what I'm going to land on, guys.
Could set up perfectly for with all this pace in the race. Let's check in with Jonathan, get his thoughts.
Yeah, guys, let's start with the 8. I thought the 8 Palm Cottage was interesting. Puts the blinkers on. This is a horse that didn't run particularly well last time, but did take some money. Maybe the horse needed it off of a short break from September, and I expect this horse to run a little bit better in this spot, the 8 Palm Cottage. And I like the blinkers on, too. Try to get this horse to be a little bit more focused. The horse obviously has some tactical speed, so it's not going to really put more speed into the horse, just possibly get more finish, a little bit more focus in the 8 Palm Cottage. And then the 11 Flash Magic, I think is at least just worth a mention. It's good to see Ricardo and Steve Asmussen back together. Lots of questions about exactly what was going on with them being obviously longtime partners, and Ricardo riding basically everything for Steve, and then there was the Echo Zulu situation. It's good to see them kind of getting reunited again, whatever was going on there. Ricardo Santana is an outstanding rider. We all know that Steve Asmussen's an outstanding trainer. Just makes sense for them to be working together.
And again, thanks, JK. They teamed up for a win earlier on the card today in race 2. They'll try and take the nightcap together as well. And 3-1 right now with the filly they're teaming up with outside Flash Magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do like to see a combination that has been so successful together get back together. And you know, they've meant a lot to each other. Obviously, Steve supplying Ricardo with a steady supply of very live mounts. You know, years ago, Eddie Arcaro was riding First Call for Green Tree Stable. And he came back off an injury. And not that this was the case here, but he just wasn't winning. And they felt like his confidence level wasn't where it needed to be. And they actually sent Eddie Arcaro, who was already very accomplished, to Maryland to ride for a month to just get him back into a groove, getting him back winning. And once he got winning again and they saw his confidence come back, then they brought him back to the main division in New York. So no matter how great a rider is, they're subject to having ebbs and flows with confidence. And every top athlete needs confidence. I think Ricardo fell into a spot where he just wasn't winning. Sometimes you have a tendency to press. And winning races will bring his confidence back, and maybe that's all he needs to get back into the place he was.
See if he can deliver a second win for the Asmussen Barn here in this finale on the opening day card. As you look at the board, the 3, the 5, the 8, the 11 taking most of the attention in here. With Codename Kate, Gary says, and you just look at it, and with her running style and all this speed, could set up perfectly for her.
Well, doesn't it feel like she could get the very similar trip to the Chris Hartman trainee that just won the Advent, Kavad, sitting in behind a couple of horses, dueling, and then finding a gap when she needs it? I think she got the right style for a race that looks laden with speed. Now, maybe the 5, and I'm just, listen, I'm impressed with horses that win and horses that run fast and win like she does, even though I don't know what she's been running against. Maybe she's just faster than everybody and keeps on going, but she could have pressure here.
Fun to watch, regardless. I'm sure she's got a lot of fans here, trying to win her 4th in a row, 8 for 14 lifetime. There she was briefly. That 5 filly by Big Drama, Ms. Blue, trying to make it 4 straight wins. And then Jets of Gin in the 10. 13 for 23 lifetime. Francisco Arrieta aboard. It's the finale on the opening day card. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
They're at the post. They're off. Ms. Blue caught a flyer and goes immediately to the front. Jets of Gin and away in second, and the stablemates are 1-2 up the backstretch. Then comes Palm Cottage with Codename Kate into the outside Flash Magic. She's stuck up, and Ursulina are next, and the trailer is Athena's Song. It is Ms. Blue to the half-mile pole. She leads by 1.5 lengths from Jets of Gin and in second. Palm Cottage is tightly at the rail third, and about 2 from the front. Flash Magic and Codename Kate have 3.5 lengths to make up. Ursulina's just outside of Kate. Then it's 3 back to She's Stuck Up, and Athena's Song, Ms. Blue, and Jets of Gin and Scott Becker 1-2 to the quarter pole, and Ms. Blue leads by 1.5 lengths. Jets of Gin is a second. Then comes Palm Cottage between horses in third. Codename Kate going to swing out 3 wide and try to sweep the late double for Chris Hartman, and they head for home with Ms. Blue still in front. Jets of Gin alongside, and these two are matching strides, and Jets of Gin is alongside Ms. Blue. These two, Jets of Gin has now taken over the lead. She's in front of Ms. Blue, 2 lengths back in second. Palm Cottage third. Jets of Gin in front. Francisco Arrieta won the last 4 races in a row, and Jets of Gin won by 2.5. Palm Cottage second, close for third.
Happy opening day, Francisco Arrieta. Final 4 on the card. Talk about a win machine, too. This 6-year-old mare, 11 for 17 on dirt now, 14 for 24 overall.
Well, he turned for home. We had the 8-time winner, Ms. Blue, in front, setting the pace. She drifted out, bothered Palm Cottage a little bit at the 8th pole, but she was defeated by Palm Cottage. And here comes the 13-time winner, Jets of Gin, and now a 14-time winner. Love horses with that winning habit.
Fun to watch, isn't it? Jets of Gin, 6-year-old mare by Benny the Bull. Trained by Scott Becker, owned by Charles Ritter. And she just brings it. She's now won her last 2 on dirt. She won at Ellis last time she was on dirt back in July. Fun to watch these horses put together these streaks.
Love horses that, like, I love my people. Honest and hardworking. Bring your lunch pail, go to work. No excuses, don't complain. Just get it done. Honest and hardworking, that's what it's all about.
We have tremendous racing coming up tomorrow on Cigar Mile Day from Aqueduct here. You definitely want to join us. We're on 1 to 3 on Bally Sports Southern California. Everybody can watch us beginning at 3 p.m. over on YouTube as well, New York Racing Association page. Big number in the Pick 6 carryover, $729,000. 3 days now it's carried over.
Got a chance to come to the track, make more money than the winner of the Cigar Mile.
How about that?
How about that?
Can't say that every day. Good luck to everyone getting involved. It's one you got to be part of. Cigar Mile, Remsen, Demoiselle, and much more coming up on our program tomorrow. Opening day coverage from Oaklawn. Well, the feature of the Advent, it went to Kavad, just claimed for $50,000 by Chris Hartman, and now a 3-time winner. The only multiple in the race does it again. American Revolution, by the way, for Todd Pletcher, one of his 2 3-year-olds lining up against older company in that Grade 1 one-turn mile. He'll take on, among others, Ginobili, the runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile.